Hey YouTube, welcome back. Reminder, if you want to lesson with me, check the link in the description. Let's talk today about using a P-syllable to start notes. This is something I've kind of gotten into recently. I've really revamped my chops. I'm using the right muscles in my corners to engage and like play things. But I would have like really good days, and then I'd have really bad days. A couple days where I literally just like started practicing and I had to put the horns away because I was going to throw one at the wall. And I saw something. No. A friend asked me if I started notes with my chops together or apart. And I was like, well, Doug Elliott says to always start the notes with the chops together. You set, you have the middle of your chops together, then you breathe through your corners, and then you play. And I realized that I had, because putting the chops together before breathing is a little bit difficult for me in my previous setup, that I've been kind of letting that go, and I wasn't really doing it. I was like, what happens if I do that? And guess what? Everything just got way better, way faster. Basically, I'd been using the right muscles, I've been much more relaxed, I'm using the right air. But when you start with the chops apart, you're relying on the air to bring the chops together when you start a note. And that even shows up in free buzzing. If you start with the chops apart, it's way harder to start the note and it starts out fuzzier and bad. Instead of I can start the note right away. It's much more focused. It's not buzzing in 2 or 3 different places on my chops. So guess what? You should do that for everything. And so what I've been doing lately is I had a big breakthrough where I started doing this and I've been playing way better. And then of course I just played way too loud and way too high and way too much. And now I have to like dial everything back in again. So I'm doing the right things, just too much of it because I feel like I have all the power. And so what I'm doing today is I'm playing my 3BF and my contra because I'm trying to play 2 horns a day every day for the near future. And I'm doing this simple exercise where I choose a scale and I play 2 notes in a row and I connect them, and then I play 2 more notes in a row and I play them very soft, just like this. I'll stop there. Starting to fuzz out. I don't really need to go high. I'm just trying to make sure that the lips start together and start kind of in the same place every single time. And it's got 2 parts to it, right? I'm playing 2 notes in a row. The first one I flubbed. I started with the chops apart, so I started over. But I played 2 notes in a row so I can connect 2 notes and I can get a nice... I try to go for an articulation between both. It probably doesn't sound great right now, but I want to make sure I can connect those 2 notes. But then I stop and start that note again to make sure that I can also start that note. So I'm getting both sides of the equation, kind of like the scale part and the individual notes part. And I can do the same thing. And of course, you can do this both directions on each instrument. This is kind of the obvious way, where you go high in the tenor trombone and low on the contrabass. But I've been doing the same thing on this. I'm trying to go from the center of one note to the center of the next note. Really try not to manipulate too much. Honestly, right now, it probably doesn't sound super great, but I'm really trying to make it as easy as possible and make the start of each note kind of like as simple as possible. I find that if I let myself go, I will really muscle the crap out of the starts of notes, especially. I'll just kind of go, hep, bah, and I'll start a note, and playing loud, it works. I can start notes fast. I can start them, relatively easily, I'll say. But in the long run, and playing other dynamics and other styles, that doesn't work. So, using this soft approach, I've said this before, using this soft approach for everything is much better than trying to use the kind of hard or loud approach for everything, where that does not translate to the legato side or the soft dynamics. So give this a shot. Start that P, start notes with a P. I'm saying P because I've talked about air attacks before, which a lot of people talk about as ha attacks. And that's good. You're using the air to start the note. But for me, I ran into the trap of starting with my chops apart and using the ha to bring them apart. And that ended up with me going nowhere. And I was like, man, I do not get air attacks. They do not work for me. And it turns out all you have to do is start with the chops together. And thinking P, where you start with the chops together and then blow them apart with the air, is way more healthy and more simple. So give it a shot. P attacks. Do it on anything, any dynamic, and have a lot of fun. I'll see you guys next time.